Do you know ball?
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 Do you know ball? Episode 42, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's been like 2 weeks, and we apologize. Long story short, Zach had a little hospital journey. He's still in a lot of pain, right, Zach?
Yep, I'm in significant amount of pain, but
hmm
you gotta grind, gotta get you guys some content. It's been a
hmm
minute, so
Yeah, that's the reason we haven't posted in a fat minute. Zach's been, in the hospital. He's been sick. He's has not been 100% these past couple of days, weeks. So the fact that Zach's even doing this pod right now deserves five big booms. So thank you, Zach, for being here. We're gonna go right into the first topic though. So anyway, episode 42 starts off with a bang. A little bit of old news, but it's too big that we kind of have to discuss it still. So, without further ado, Corbin Burnes is officially an Arizona Diamondback. Is a $210 million deal, 6 years as an opt out after 2 years. Now, my first reaction when I saw this, as everyone else, was really the Diamondbacks? That's so random. It didn't even feel like that he was even being rumored to go to the Diamondbacks. I think it was more like maybe going back to the Orioles, maybe the Blue Jays, the Giants. That was my thought. I thought he was going to be a San Francisco Giant. But instead, he joins a different National League West team and he joins the Arizona Diamondbacks. Zach, what are your thoughts on that, just initially?
initially I was just kind of confused. Like, you know what? Like you said, my first my first initial reaction to Burns signing with the Diamondbacks is just like like that's really random. I remember it too. I just got a notification out of the blue when I was just taking a shower and I just looked at my phone real quick
hmm
and Corbin Burns is a Diamondback. So it's really random, but you know what? The Diamondbacks they got a nice rotation, and I mean they maybe didn't really need Corbin Burns too much, but adding him just I mean it just gets so much better. You got Burns, you got Gallen, you got Kelly, um, you got I don't even remember the last two, but they're pretty insignificant. Who else do they got? They got who
And
else?
the who'd you say already?
I said Burns, Gallen, and Kelly.
Do
I know
some
they got those
research.
three. Those big
Um,
three.
well, they're probably gonna ship out Jordan Montgomery. They have Eduardo Rodriguez.
I forgot him. Yeah, award. Yeah, it's stacked. It's so stacked. They have such a good rotation. Um, and they have such a good young lineup too. Like they're gonna make it places, and this was a pretty big move for them. And locking down a pitcher like Corbin Burns is pretty significant. It's a pretty big deal. So their rotation's pretty stacked and ready to go. Maybe they need a few bats here and there. It may not come in the offseason. It may come in the trade deadline, but as of right now, they're sitting pretty good.
mhm.
I don't know if you agree with that or not, but they're
Yeah,
sitting pretty good.
it's very interesting because the National League West, I mean, you have the Dodgers and Padres already in that division. So, in my opinion, do I think the Diamondbacks are in contention to win the division? At this moment, no. I just think both of those other teams are just better, like construction wise and just performance wise. I just think they're better, even though the Diamondbacks were just in the World Series like 2 years ago. Dodgers, just won the World Series. Um, but in terms of do they make the playoffs, I think they will. They missed out by like one game this year, right?
Yeah, they missed
Yeah,
out because the Mets and the
the
Braves
Mets.
both won that game.
That's right. They were one game away from missing the playoffs. I believe they were top five in runs scored in the entire league. You add Josh Naylor. I mean, you lose Christian Walker, but you add Josh Naylor to replace him, and then you add Corbin Burnes to the roster. I think that they are a playoff team. And the question really becomes how big of a threat they will be in October. I mean, they did just make the World Series like 2 years ago. So I definitely think if they're in the playoffs, they have just as good of a shot of anybody. And as Zach touched, they have a very good rotation, one of the best in baseball, maybe at the moment. I mean, there are a lot of rotations that are kind of weak. Um, you have like maybe the Phillies, Yankees, Dodgers, whatever order you want to put that in. Maybe you can say that's the consensus 1, 2, 3 if you really want to go there. But that's not what this topic on is on. Sorry. I just think it was a very random signing, but good for the Diamondbacks. Is it an overpay for Corbin Burnes considering he's aging and his metrics are kind of declining? Quite possibly a little bit. Quite possibly. I doubt he opts out after the second year. I think he'll be in for all 6 years. Um, but it's honestly a fun signing for the Diamondbacks. I hope they do well with him, and I hope Corbin Burnes doesn't decline, and I hope he succeeds in Arizona. He said a big part of it was because of taxes. So hey, good for him, man. More money in his pocket.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing in general, Corbin Burnes and the Diamondbacks, they're going to be set up for many years to come. But besides that happening, there could be potential move happening within the next couple of days. Maybe they go a different route, but right now the buzz is around Luis Arraez and the Padres trading him potentially to the Yankees. So they're the two teams are linked right now. I don't know. Some as you put in our on our doc, some people don't want him for the Yankees. So I wouldn't understand that because he's a good table setter. That's Luis Arraez's game. He gets base hits, he gets doubles, and there's the occasional home run. Like he's not a power hitter. He's a contact hitter, but he gets on base frequently. He sets the table. That could be the reason why maybe Yankee fans wouldn't want him because of that reason. He doesn't drive in the runs. He just mainly sets the table. Um, but I other than that, I can't really think of a reason why Yankees fans wouldn't want him. Matt, give me your thoughts on that though.
Yeah, part of the reason why Yankee fans don't want him is simply because if you say no to Gleyber Torres, why would you say yes to Luis Arias? In the sense that Gleyber Torres was not a good fielder, he was not a good base runner, and it's the same with Luis Arias. He's not a good base runner and he's not a good fielder. In fact, he's actually a terrible fielder. He was the DH for the San Diego Padres, but the Yankees have Giancarlo Stanton, who if he runs in the outfield for 2 seconds, he breaks a leg, so that's not going to happen. You have Luis Arias. If you get him, he's going to be your second or third baseman if you're the Yankees. Um, I personally wouldn't mind Luis Arraez. I'm not going to complain like some Yankee fans. I mean, he's won batting titles for a reason. Um, there's an argument to be made that he would actually be more beneficial as like the 4 or 5 hitter, or even the 3 hitter, because I forgot what the stat was, but he bats like 364 in his career, or it was some crazy number. It was like 364 in his career with runners in scoring position. So maybe putting him in leadoff is not the key. Maybe if you move him to 3, 4, or 5, then with runners on, maybe you can unlock a higher, ceiling, a higher potential with Luis Arraez. But me personally, I wouldn't mind it. The fielding, it is what it is. I feel like it would go a little bit against what the Yankees were kind of trying to do this offseason. I mean, as we saw in game five, in the World Series, the Yankees defense was abysmal. Like it was god awful. And you try and combat that with making moves like Paul Goldschmidt and Cody Bellinger, both gold glove, very good fielders. They're very capable. They can hold their own. So to get Luis Arraez is kind of going back on that in a way. Max Fried's also a tremendous fielder. I know he's a pitcher, but it still counts. He's got a solid glove. You don't gotta his PFPs. You don't gotta worry about that. So I personally wouldn't mind it, but I can see the argument for Yankee fans as to why they wouldn't want Luis Arraez. They've been linked to the Yankees have been linked to like Jorge Polanco. They've been linked to Gavin Lux, Brendan Rodgers. So if they get a second or third baseman, he is they're probably going to get some small guy. I know Gavin Lux got traded to the Reds, so you can cross him off the board.
Yeah, you could
Um,
cross him off the board.
yeah, but like they're going for someone in that ballpark. Like I don't think they will get Luis Arraez. I also think he's making like a good amount of money, and the Yankees don't really want to take on the contract. So the Yankees are going to probably get a small-ish bat, and I don't think it's going to be Luis Arraez. I don't, but only
I
time
mean,
will tell.
yeah, I mean, he's a good bat. He's a really good bat. That's probably I guess like you said, it's probably his best asset to him. But besides that, I didn't even realize he was the DH at certain points for the Padres. I thought
Mm.
he was playing first base, I think, for a little bit, I believe.
But even
So,
then, his defense at first was terrible, though.
yeah. So I mean, I guess that's a push and pull thing with him, and I understand where you're coming from. You want to go in a better direction and get more defensively sound with better infielder other than, you know, Luis Arraez. But then again, I mean, I wouldn't really. I'm not a Yankee fan, and I couldn't care less where he goes, unless it was to the Mets. But I wouldn't really care to tell you the honest truth. He's a really you got to take your push and pull where your battles are. He's a really good hitter. The Yankees already had a really terrific offseason. If you get him, you put him at second base or at the, wherever you feel comfortable. It's either second or third are the options, and you're ready to go. You're locked and loaded. All the Yankees need really are one more bat. Is one more
Mhm.
bat. That's all the
Mhm.
Yankees need is one more bat.
Yeah.
And if they get that, they're ready to rock and roll. They're ready to rock and roll in 2025, and they could potentially run it back.
Mhm.
So they're doing their best to finish that off and finish off their terrific offseason. But another move that just happened today, Matt, you want to introduce this one?
Yeah, Justin Verlander just signed with the San Francisco Giants. $15 million contract for 1 year. And for Zach's sake, Mets legend, right, Zach? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. He's taking care of some business as we expressed. He's not feeling well, so I'll continue on. But it was a very random signing for the San Francisco Giants, at least in my opinion. I believe he's 42 years old. Does he still have anything left in the tank? What do you think? I don't know if he does. Um, it's gonna be a little weird not seeing him play for the Astros, honestly. Like that, like half a season he was a New York Met was so weird. But then seeing him back on the Houston Astros was just like so natural. Like it just felt right, you know. Obviously he was dominant with the Tigers, but for me, I I started watching baseball in like 2017, the year that the Astros won the World Series. So I always kind of associate Justin Verlander as a Houston Astro because that's the year he was traded to the Astros. So every time I've ever seen Verlander pitch, I always think of him as a Houston Astro. But now I get to think of him as a San Francisco Giant. One of our close and dear friends is a Giants fan, and I shot him a text. I'm like, yo, you got five big booms. You got Justin Verlander, future Hall of Famer. Not very happy. Not very happy. And I can understand. He's old, he's aging. The Giants rotation as it is, I don't really know anyone, and I really don't care to know anyone outside of Logan Webb personally. Zach, do you know anyone in the Giants rotation?
I think Kyle Harrison. He's
That's
a
the
good
only other
rook,
name I know. Yeah.
good rookie, good rookie.
Is he a rookie?
Well, he was a
Last year?
rookie last year.
Last year? Okay, okay,
He
just
was a
make
rookie
sure.
last year. But besides that, uh, I'd honestly have to look it up because
Oh, they got Robbie Ray, Jordan Hicks.
no, Robbie Ray's not really a part of their rotation. I think they moved him to the bullpen. I'm pretty sure. I'm almost 90% sure.
No, there's no shot, bro.
Yeah,
Oh,
they did last year,
well,
I think.
you think they keep? I don't think they keep him there. I think that it doesn't hurt to try and back out in the starting rotation again. I mean, he's making a
They
stupid
could.
amount of money.
He had a bad year. Had a bad couple
Look,
years since he won
look,
the Cy Young, but
Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, and then Justin Verlander. That's honestly not that bad. I was over here shitting on the Giants. My apologies, but it's not a bad rotation by any means. That's very solid.
yeah, look, like you said, Mets legend. I'll give a clap. Sorry, I gotta keep my stuff in check
Yeah.
from time to time, but Mets legend for half a season. I wish we on looking back. I'm not even gonna speculate on it. Just Mets legend. Not even speculating on it. Anyways, Justin Verlander is a giant, and like I don't know, man. Like I don't think it's a really good signing. I mean, they got him just to get him. That's pretty much it's a name. It's a name. When when we got him, it was bad, right? On that 2 year deal. When we got him, because he was already old. Now he's even older. And he already, when we got him too, couldn't stay healthy at all. Couldn't stay healthy. He got hurt in spring training and was out for like the first couple months of the year. So if that was the case then, and now especially, he was hurt pretty much all last year. He had to pitch a certain amount of games or a certain amount of innings to reach a quota for the Mets not to receive money back for him, and he couldn't hit that number. I think it was like 170 or so innings, and he couldn't hit that number. So that would concern me if I'm the Giants right now But besides that, I mean, $15 million for 1 year. How old is Verlander? He can't.
Verlander, he's 41.
Yeah. So he's he's getting up there. He's getting really up there. And I don't know. I don't see him staying healthy. There's going to be a point in during this next season where he's going to be injured. He's going to be on the IL, and there's nothing the Giants can do about it but
Mhm.
sit back and just keep giving him his money
Yeah.
because that's what you get. But if he's healthy and if he's locked in and good, then you kind of got him for a little bit of a steal. You,
Yeah.
you might have got if he's good this year. That's why I kind of like that it's a 1 year contract because if he's good this year, he's good. If he's not, then oh well. I mean, like
Exactly.
he'll just go to free agency next year and maybe retire. He's dead. He got to be looking at retirement at some point, right? Like he's 41. He's gonna be like 42 this year, and look, there's gonna be a point where he's gonna be looking at retirement, and it could be after this year. The Giants made a pretty good signing. The only reason why I like it is because it's a year, like I said. But other than that, he's old. Don't expect much from Justin Verlander. Don't expect the world from Justin Verlander, and don't make the same mistake that I did and
Hmm.
expect him to be the greatest pitcher on the planet as soon as he walks in because he very much might get hurt in spring training. So
Hmm.
that's all I got to say on Justin Verlander. But
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
appreciate him for the half a season we had him.
Mets legend. You never forget the guys that are there for half a season, like James Harden and the Nets. I will never forget him. Speaking of the Nets, can I
Go
can I
ahead. Go ahead.
bro? I got a story with this one. Let's just say D'Angelo Russell is once again a Brooklyn Net. I'm gonna give you all a story, a quick story. I got into the NBA because of D'Angelo Russell. I credit my love for basketball to D'Angelo Russell. I was a young kid, a young lad, starting to pay attention to the NBA, watching Jester the Laser and Cash Nasty, and being a kid from Jersey. The Nets were always my favorite team, but I never really cared or paid attention to basketball. And I watched the year before when they had Jeremy Lin and Brooke Lopez, and then they traded Brooke, and I was in tears because I was one of the only players I knew for D'Angelo Russell. And then it wasn't the year they got D'Lo. It was actually the next year. I think it was his second year with the Nets, where he became an all-star. He blossomed. He flourished, and he led the Nets to the sixth seed, not even the seventh or eighth seed, to the sixth seed. I credit D'Angelo Russell for making the Brooklyn Nets what they are. He's the reason that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving single-handedly chose the Nets and turned them into contenders. He is the reason. He turned the Nets into the franchise that was one toe away from an NBA championship. He was the reason a guy like James Harden, who was coming off MVP caliber seasons, he's the reason why James Harden chose the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, it didn't work out with the big three, but D'Angelo Russell shaped the Brooklyn Nets to be what they are. And to see him back in Brooklyn, in Barclays Center, is just so surreal. I never got rid of this. I never got rid of my D'Lo jersey. For those of you that remember, former pod, I had bridges on the back of the jersey. I took off the bridges. It says Russell now. It's a little dirty, but it says Russell. You see that? I
I do
I
see that.
never I you saw it, right?
I
Yeah.
do see that. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
I never got rid of this. This has been in my closet. D'Lo did nothing wrong. He didn't ask to be traded. He didn't ask to leave the Nets. He wanted to stay. It just sucks that he made the Nets such a desirable destination that they had no choice but, to say thank you, but we're gonna move on. You choose Kevin Durant over D'Angelo Russell every day of the week. You just have to. You just have to. So D'Angelo Russell, this is a personal thank you, because if it weren't for you, I might not even be a basketball fan right now. I am a Nets fan in a lot of pain for many years. But I'm glad you're back. Even if you ruin the tank, I am so glad you're back because for me, this is beyond basketball. This is about love for the game. It's just emotional. But now let's get into the business side of it. D'Angelo Russell was traded to the Brooklyn Nets from the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers received Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. The Lakers sent D'Angelo Russell, Maxwell Lewis, and 3 second-round picks to the Brooklyn Nets. Now, Dorian Finney-Smith, I'm first off, I am a Nets fan, for those that don't know, so I can probably add a little bit more about this than Zach because I have all the knowledge of the Nets and their plan. So I might ramble on for a bit, but Dorian Finney-Smith was a guy that they got from the Kyrie Irving trade, and now he's officially gone. And we were trying to gauge what his value was, and apparently it's 3 second-round picks in terms of a draft capital standpoint. The motto for the Nets has just been acquire draft picks. Let's get young and let's become the next OKC Thunder. The only downside is we don't have a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. We can draft the Chet Holmgren, we can draft the Jalen Williams, but we don't have a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. So that's going to be the biggest problem for the Brooklyn Nets going forward. Dorian Finney-Smith made some comments about the Nets after getting traded. I'm not going to get into it. It was honestly kind of a loser move. I'm not going to really say much more about that. I am a Nets fan, so I am biased. Shake Milton was ruining the tank, so glad he's gone. But D'Lo and Maxwell Lewis, they're part of the future. I hope. I have a feeling that the Nets are going to bring D'Lo back in the offseason. I really do. I don't think they're going to trade him at the deadline unless they get something that is like so good that they can't pass up on. I just think that D'Lo really loves Brooklyn. He's made some tweets. All of his pressers have been, phenomenal and outstanding. He's happy to be back, I hope. I'm sure it sucks that, he's no longer on like a contending team. In fact, he's on one of the worst teams in the NBA now. But it's evident that he loves Brooklyn. He loves the vibe. Will he stay? That's his decision. But I would not be surprised if Sean Marks tries to bring him back this offseason. And I would welcome it to mentor maybe Dylan Harper if we draft him. But from an outsider perspective, Zach, go ahead. Stop my ramble. What are your thoughts?
So, a couple things, right?
Yeah,
I have a story of my own, and it's a story that we share together.
we did.
I think my first NBA game ever was Nets Wizards with you.
Yeah,
We saw D'Lo absolutely tear up the Wizards. I think the Nets won that night too.
they did win. That was my birthday in like seventh
Yep,
grade.
tore up the Wizards. That's when this is back in the day when John Wall was on the Wizards, Bradley Beal was still there. Everybody was it was the old Wizards team, the good
Otto
Wizards
Porter,
team.
Kelly Oubre Jr. It
Yeah.
was the old Wizards team, man. Yeah,
So I just remember watching him and seeing him do what he did, and it was electric. He was electric in Brooklyn the whole time. So when I saw this move go through, I was pretty happy. I was pretty happy for the Nets. I was pretty happy for you. Um, and honestly, I think it was kind of feast. It was a fleece. I think it was kind of a fleece. Only because, again, Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton, right? They're pretty role players. They're role players.
hmm
They're not big names. There's not even mid. They're just role players. It's just who they are. But to get D'Lo, I mean Maxwell Lewis doesn't really matter, but he's there. To get really D'Lo and 3 second round picks for those two, I don't know. I can't say the Lakers really made a good deal in that aspect. I think again, the Nets have been prominent. Get picks, get young, get good. That's what they've been. That's the only thing on their minds right now. They have I don't know how many picks because I don't even want to say because I don't want to mess that up.
Too
Um,
many. They got too many.
Definitely one of the most, if not the most, in the NBA. Um, they're stacked for the future. Do they get a guy like Shea, like you said? I don't know. Maybe that is just we'll see what happens. But they are pretty stacked for the future. D'Lo, I'm happy to see him. He's gonna go out there. He's gonna have fun on the Nets. I don't think he really enjoyed the LA. You know,
Yeah, no.
he just wasn't really himself. I mean, he was good everywhere pretty much. He was pretty good on. He was decent on the Timberwolves. He was decent on what's it called? He was decent on the Timberwolves. He was decent on the Warriors
That's right.
before
Yeah.
that. He was really good on the Nets. He's got potential still. He's not a bad player. People think that because of who he was on the Lakers, he was a bad player. I have some
Yeah.
news for you. I have some
hmm
news for you. Not the LA's not a good environment for everybody. You know what I mean? It wasn't really a good environment for Russ. Russ is doing a lot better this season with Denver and Jokic and stuff like that. And D'Lo's probably going to play a lot better
Yeah.
with the Nets. It's just how it is. Not LA's not for everybody, and that's just sometimes how the cookie crumbles. But I'm happy for D'Lo. I'm happy he can have fun playing basketball again. I hope the Nets bring him back in some capacity next
Hmm.
year, at least maybe for a 1 to 2 year deal. Just just bring him back. He enjoys being in Brooklyn. He wants to be a part of something special. I think Brooklyn's going to be a special place for the future with a lot of young talent, and they'll grow and they'll make it far, and I think they'll eventually get to their goal, which is a championship. But that's just really my thoughts on
Hmm.
the D'Lo. Good for him. Good for him
Yeah.
to come back.
Those are some kind words, and he was not the problem in LA. He was not the problem in LA. He's been balling with Brooklyn so far. He has been hurt, but the first couple of games he was balling. So hopefully he continues to play well. And if he does get moved at the trade deadline, just know that this jersey will never leave my closet. I will wear this jersey to every Nets game for the foreseeable future, unless they draft Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey or Cooper Flag. Then I'm sorry, D'Lo. I'm gonna have to exchange this for a different jersey. But up until then, D'Lo's a Brooklyn Net. Let's go on to the next topic. You want me to go into it,
Go
or
for it. Yeah.
this one's a little bit out of left field a little bit, but De'Aaron Fox is not signing an extension with not the Los Angeles Kings. That's my fault. That's a hockey team, man. I was watching a Devils game the other day. I got hockey on my mind. That's my fault. De'Aaron Fox is not signing an extension with the Sacramento Kings. Fox has reportedly grown frustrated, and they did just fire head coach Mike Brown, which he just won like coach of the year, I believe, 1 year or 2 years ago, which is really crazy. You know, Mike Brown is a huge reason as to why the Kings made the playoffs and they broke the drought. Like the Kings have been one of the most fun teams in sports. Like not just basketball, but sports. Like it was a crazy story. And now all of a sudden, they fire Mike Brown. This year they have not been all that great. Is it because of DeRozan? Is the DeRozan fit weird? It kind of is. They should bring him off the bench if they're not doing so already. I think the fit in the starting lineup is not great. But because of all this, Fox is not committed to the Kings long term. And according to a couple reports, it seems likely that he could get traded this offseason. Not so much at the deadline. The Kings still have time to figure it out. They could make trades. I know they're linked to Cam Johnson. Maybe that turns the team around. Who knows? But Fox might be out the door. And as a Nets fan, I'm going to talk about the Brooklyn Nets. It makes sense because the Nets want to do this fast rebuild. I think they want to draft players this year and then sign big name players. That's why they're linked to guys like Jimmy Butler and Giannis and now De'Aaron Fox. Jordy Fernandez, the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets, was the former assistant coach for the Kings, and De'Aaron Fox spoke highly of him. In fact, he was actually really upset when Jordy took the job in Brooklyn because that meant that they wouldn't be working together anymore. So maybe Jordy can, pull some strings and bring De'Aaron Fox to Brooklyn. Obviously, I want to tank, but I'm not gonna be a sourpuss and complain if they get De'Aaron Fox. You know what I mean? I'm just not gonna do that. I don't think they're gonna get De'Aaron Fox by any means. I'm just saying, like as a Nets fan, I can talk from my perspective, and I just think it would make some sense if the Nets targeted him, but I could see other teams being in on De'Aaron Fox. So Zach, like, what do you think on the whole De'Aaron Fox situation, the King situation? Any possible teams you think could be a good fit? What do you think, man?
As far as teams go, it's kind of hard for me to say. I'm not really as connected to the NBA as you, so I don't want to mess up. I do see that the Nets could be a great option because they have been linked to a lot of superstars as of late because they what are you gonna do? I mean they have all the assets. They have all the leverage pretty much. I mean all the picks you could possibly need. They may not have um the sufficient NBA talent, but they have a decent amount of picks. So I could see him landing there. And he'd be a good guy to build off him. Fox is young. Fox is still pretty young. And he could make a dent in that Nets team and lead the team a little bit, bring in the young guys, lead them. And if you bring in D'Lo could be the backup point guard. I see that as a nice combination of things. But man, the Kings situation as a whole, like I've been keeping up with that, and firing Mike Brown, dude, like, oh man, I feel like that was such a bad move on the Kings' part. And look, they lost. They fired him what after they lost like 5 games in a row.
Yeah, it was something crazy. They were not doing
Like,
well.
dude,
They need,
come
yeah.
on. Like, the Kings have done pretty good the past couple years. I mean, they've made it to the playoffs a couple times. They're a good team. They just weren't playing like it. And that's what kind of bothers me too, because like it's kind of like a similar situation. Like the season's still young. It's kind of a similar situation to maybe that of out of the Bucks. Bucks were really bad in the beginning of the year, but they turned it around. So maybe the Kings could turn around. I think it was too fast of a firing. I don't think they should have got rid of Brown. I think they should have kept him. He's a really good coach. He knows what he's doing. He's got a good reputation with all the Kings players, and that could be probably partially a partial reason why Fox may want out. So he may not like the culture anymore. He may not like what the Kings are doing and what their vision is for the future. Maybe he wants a change. He just wants a change of scenery. And honestly, I really do think it'd be a good change if he went to the Nets. I think he'd take on a pretty good role, get
Mhm.
him and get D'Lo back, and maybe start something special in Brooklyn. Like I said, the Brooklyn's got a promising future ahead. So I really think they could do something special if they got Fox.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not saying they're going to get Fox, and I don't want to keep, you know, putting the Nets on notice because I am a biased Nets fan, but it's one report that I saw because I am a Nets fan. I get Nets stuff in my feed, and I'm like, you know what? It kind of fits what Sean Marks has always tried to do. He tries to fast track these rebuilds. Um, like I said, they are going after Giannis and Jimmy Butler, and then when they still had McCall, they were going after DeJounte Murray and Donovan Mitchell. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're in on De'Aaron Fox. So we will honestly see. We cannot tell what the Nets team or their future is going to look like until next season. Trade deadline will not be an accurate representation because a lot of guys are going to be bought out and probably just shipped off for whatever they can get. So, without further ado, we're going to get into the reason why you probably clicked on this video. You ready for this, Zach? This is a fun one.
It's a pretty big topic, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Should I just go right into it?
Go right into it.
All right. There's a big paragraph. I'm just going to read it and then I'll let you give your thoughts on all this. All right.
Go ahead.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. Last topic of the day, we're going to talk about Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat, there's been some trouble in paradise lately. Let's talk about it. Bill Simmons said that Jimmy Butler is most likely going to get traded this week. This week. Now, it's crazy because Jimmy Butler brought this Miami Heat team to the finals, what, two times, I think, right? I think it's been two times. Miami
Yeah,
Heat,
two times.
they played
2020 and I believe maybe
when
22,
when the Nuggets
22 or
won.
23?
It was 22.
22.
They played the Nuggets and Lakers. So Jimmy Butler has led this team to the NBA Finals two times and what seemed like a match made in heaven after bouncing around from team to team, the Bulls, the Timberwolves, and then um the Sixers, what seemed to be a match made in heaven. Now it seems like there's trouble in paradise, right? So let me read from Kevin O'Connor. Let me read this quote he tweeted out. There's been a lot of chirping in NBA circles about the future of Miami Heat veteran Jimmy Butler. On Tuesday morning, Chris Haynes reported on X that the Memphis Grizzlies and a few other teams received word that Butler has no interest in being there. One of those other teams, sources told me the Milwaukee Bucks were also told to back off. Now, to kind of add to this, Jimmy already said he does not want to play for Memphis. I mean, Memphis is a playoff team. I don't really think, Jimmy, the way you're acting, you have any room to really be saying what team you want to play for. You're in a contract year. None of Jimmy Butler's other preferred destinations, the Mavericks, Rockets, and Warriors, are showing interest in trading for him ahead of the trade deadline. So if I was an NBA team, I would personally try and stay away because he's aging. He's going to request a lot of money in free agency. He doesn't really try in the regular season. He's an incredible postseason player, but you need the regular season to get to the postseason. And then I'm gonna get into the Phoenix Suns because this is what I think might happen. The Suns are the only team eagerly awaiting the chance to bring aboard Butler and reward him a 2-year, $112.6 million extension. I think this is the most likely scenario. They moved Bradley Beal to the bench, maybe in an attempt to try and get Bradley Beal to waive his no trade clause. And it's already been reported that Bradley Beal would be willing to go to Miami. So, what makes the most sense would be a Bradley Beal Jimmy Butler swap. Maybe there's some other players and picks attached to it, but I honestly think that that could happen, and I would not be surprised if it happens some point this week. So, I think Jimmy Butler is going to be a Phoenix Sun. You have Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. Right now, the Suns are not even in the playoffs. They are having a terrible year. The Houston Rockets are probably salivating seeing that because they have all their draft picks. So, Zach, what do you think about the whole Jimmy Butler situation? What team do you think that he'd be a good fit on? Do you think the Suns would even get better adding Jimmy Butler? What do you think?
Look, I think Jimmy Butler is kind of pathetic, honestly, because I've seen so many things on Twitter and so many things around the internet saying or videos of him saying this is the place where he wants to end his career.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to play for he doesn't see himself playing for another NBA team. This is it. This is it for him. And I guess that was a flat out lie because he's just not happy. And you could tell he's not happy because of mainly just the shots he's taken. If you look at some clips, I mean, he's taking one-legged shots. I mean, this is the NBA. Like you can't be taking one-legged shots in the NBA. You just don't care. The Heat are not again, they're always contenders. They're always going to be a team that could make the playoffs and could make a run. And he's
Mhm.
always a good guy to have in the postseason because he's such a good playoff player. He really is. He really is made for the playoffs. He's made for the bright lights, and it's sad to see him go through this, but you could tell he's out of it because of just the way he's playing on the court right now. And the one thing I didn't know is I've heard about all this stuff with Jimmy, and I heard that he's been lackluster on the court. I didn't hear that a deal could happen this week.
Yeah,
So
I just saw that on Twitter. I was scrolling and I thought I would add it. I didn't hear that either until now, but yeah,
a
continue.
good catch.
Hmm.
Um, who knows where he'll end up? I mean, I don't really know where he could possibly land. You already said you said he doesn't want to play for the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He won't go to the Bucks. The Bucks are told to back off. I guess I mean the Suns, sure, but like I don't think that's gonna do much. I don't think the Suns are really getting much of an upgrade. I mean, Bradley Beal is injury prone as it is, and he really hasn't been able to stay on the court. Neither has many of the Suns players. I mean, they all take their turns. They all take their turns really getting hurt and getting on the injured list and then coming back and then the other one's on the injured list. Um, so I don't think it really makes the team better, but maybe if they get him, he enjoys playing there. He enjoys playing basketball again and maybe leads them to a playoff berth this
Hmm.
year, but again, I don't I don't think the Suns are really doing things right. They gave up all their picks for Durant. They gave up a lot to get the players that they have now,
Also including Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson as well.
including those two people.
Mhm.
So they gave up a lot of their depth. They gave up a lot of their picks. They're at a pretty much four-person lineup already, and that's without people getting hurt. You got Nurkic. Nurkic has not been the same since he went to the Suns. He was really good on Portland, but he is not good on the Suns.
Yeah,
So
terrible trade by Phoenix, trading Aiton for
terrible,
Nurkic.
terrible trade. Absolutely, absolutely awful trade for them because you just downgraded. And I mean, I don't know if Aiton's really. I haven't really been keeping up with his game, but I'm sure he's not. He's not bad. He can't be bad, right? I don't know if you looked up his stats.
I can do that right now, but I would much rather have a younger DeAndre Ayton than an older Yusuf Nurkic. Let's see.
Of course, yeah.
Aiton's averaging 14 and 10 basically. 14 points, 10 rebounds.
Yeah.
What's Nurkic averaging?
That's a lot better than Nurkic. I have his stats pulled up right here. He's averaging almost 9 points and
Nine
10,
and
about
nine.
10 rebounds, 9 and 9.
Yeah, that's I
So,
see Nurkic slander all the time on Twitter. Like people want him dead. Like they send him death threats.
yeah.
Hmm.
So it's just brutal. It's brutal. And actually what's funny about this whole situation with Phoenix is just as I pull up the stats and just as you say the slander has been there, a day ago they benched him. Suns reportedly benched Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic as has amid the brutal slide. So you know what? Like go for it. You want to get Jimmy Butler and you want to bring him to Phoenix, go for it.
Hmm.
But again, like I said, I don't think it makes the team better. I don't think it makes the team worse, but I don't think it's gonna do a whole lot like you think it's gonna do.
Hmm.
Um because again, you'll still be a four-person team and a four-person team, four superstars that are going to get hurt. They're eventually going to get hurt. And you know what? They got nothing else to back it up. They have no depth, they have no picks, and that's kind of the hole that Phoenix is sitting in. They dug their grave and now they're laying in it. So, I mean, it's just gonna have to happen. It's just what they're gonna deal with. So, if
Yeah.
I see a Phoenix Jimmy Butler to Phoenix tweet, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I'll add to that. I would not be surprised either. I agree. I you said you don't think the Suns would make the playoffs, right?
No, I don't think I don't know if I said that, but I definitely don't think that the Suns will make the playoffs.
Maybe you referenced the Heat. I don't know. I feel like I heard you say that.
I don't
Um,
remember I said that, but go ahead.
but like I agree though. I think if the Suns, I think the Suns could slip into the playoffs. I think they could be the 8 or 7 seed, not because of Jimmy Butler, just because the talent of Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. I could see them making the playoffs, but if they don't make the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think trading for Jimmy will honestly trade anything for the Suns. I just think that this whole big three experiment just backfired terribly for Phoenix. That's what you get for trading your team that just made the NBA Finals. Like Chris Paul and Ayton for Bradley Beal, and then Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges for Kevin Durant, who the Nets flip Mikal Bridges for like 6 first round picks and are probably going to flip Cam Johnson for maybe 2 first round picks and a young player. So, it's not great. And they have a new owner. So the new owner, Matt Ishbia, obviously wants to win. But if they do trade for Jimmy Butler, I will give the Phoenix Suns a lot of props because Bradley Beal is on one of the worst contracts, if not the worst contract in the NBA. So if they can trade Bradley Beal like just to get off that contract, it's a win for the Phoenix Suns. And it doesn't hurt, I guess, to get a playoff riser in Jimmy Butler. Maybe that elevates the Suns' ceiling in the postseason. But other than that, I don't think it would change much for the Phoenix Suns. I just think they're a dead man walking, regardless. So that's all I have to say on the matter. Hopefully, some Jimmy Butler news will, knowing our luck, will end the pod and Jimmy Butler will immediately get traded. That's typically what always happens with us, right, Zach?
Yeah, he'll probably get traded soon. Soon
Mhm.
enough, he'll get traded,
So,
and that's just our luck. It always
yep.
is our luck.
Chances are the next pod that we actually record, Jimmy Butler will be on a new team, and that will probably be the main topic of the pod. So, we'll see. But I guess but before we end the pod, I do just want to say, Zach, you were curious to how many draft picks the Nets have. They have 31 draft picks over the next 7 seasons, which is number 2 in the NBA.
Like I said, one of, if not the best in the NBA, and
Now,
they're number two.
that includes first round picks and second round picks, obviously, but picks are picks. So without further ado, I guess that's the end of the pod. Thank you all for watching. Remember, everyone, send 3 heart emojis in the comments for Zach. Make them orange, blue, and white for the Mets. Just for Zach. It'll make him feel better. He did just, he's just in the hospital. So props to Zach for even being able to do this today. Hopefully by next pod he will be a-okay. And
Hopefully, yeah.
and for the next pod, we'll hopefully bring on our football expertise and We can talk about the NFL playoffs and we can give our predictions. So
That's gonna be fun.
we
I
had
know I
the
got a few underdog teams that I'm rooting for.
yeah,
Not underdog teams, but I got a few teams
your
I kind of hope to see win. I want to see someone else win besides the Chiefs, but I'll
your
leave it at that. We'll talk about that for
your
another time.
football takes are just I can't wait.
All right.
One of our most watched pods was the Super Bowl pod we did. So
It was.
so
It
hopefully
was
you
indeed.
guys stay tuned. Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah. Without
Zach,
further
yeah,
ado, we'll see you guys in episode 42 next week.
43.
43?
Yeah, this is
You sure about that?
42. This is 42.
Oh yeah, 43. Yep, you're right. Sorry. We'll see
This
you
kid,
in
man,
episode
doesn't know ball.
43 next week. See you later.